Welcome dear students, plus 2 first year economics. This topic relates to elementary statistics or introductory statistics. So, in this session we will briefly discuss meaning and definition of statistics, scope of statistics, importance of statistics, uses of statistics, limitations of statistics. So, statistics is very important in all branches of science. So, the policy makers will take the help of statistics for making various policy decisions. So, in the past, during the ancient period, the ministers in the state collected information for various policy decisions. So, the very meaning of statistics is, this is the word which has been derived from Latin word status, which means a group of numbers or figures, those represent some information of our human interest. ये होची न्यूमेरिकल इनफॉरमेशन जोड़े परिसंख्यान कहूचे तथ्यभित्तिक सांख्यिक तथ्य, जो तथ्य देशर विभिन्न निष्पत्ति क्षेत्र में सहायक होता है। यह द्वारा सरकार बा राष्ट्र अनेक सिद्धांत नहीं थांती। सो दिस डेफिनेशन हैज बीन डेवलप्ड बाय सर रोनाल्ड आयलमर फिशर, who was the father of statistics. परिसंख्यान जनक बोली आम तांको कहूचे. He has defined statistics as numerical facts which has immense scope in many fields of science like agriculture, industry, education, administration, planning, etc. तो इट होचे सांख्यिक तथ्य बिना कौन सी देश प्रगति करि परिबो नाही, बिना तथ्य रे कौन सिद्धांत आमे पहुँची परिबा नाही। तेणु यार गुरुत्व यथेष्ट अधिक। तेणु आमे को कौन सी सांख्यिक तथ्य संग्रह कले ही आमे कौन सी माने सिद्धांत रे उपनीत हो परिबा। सो द meaning of statistics that relates to the collection of numerical data. So, data means the information, numerical information that comes from different sources, that is called primary sources or another is secondary sources. So, you know the data is polished in the secondary sources, that is called second data. तो प्राइम डाटा इज रॉ डाटा जोटी फर्स्ट हम कलेक्शन करछे, दैट इज रॉ डाटा अनपॉलिश्ड, दैट इज स्कैटर्ड विच्छुरित होई थाए जो डाटा, से डाटा को हमें जदि ताको विभिन्न टेबल ग्राफ विभिन्न मेथड रे ताको रिप्रेजेंट करिबा, दैट विल गिव द गुड रिजल्ट. So, you know the term of statistics has been defined from two grounds. One ground is a plural sense, another is a singular sense. So, in the plural sense there are some facts, like number one is it consists of aggregate of facts. Aggregate of facts एक समष्टिगत तथ्य जो तथ्य हूँ केते गुड़े तथ्य मिसिकी थाए ए सिंगल फिगर और isolated figure is not considered as statistics. For example, mark of a student in statistics is 65 won't be constitute statistics. जदि गोटे पिलार स्टाटिस्टिक्स मार्क अच्छी 65 बा इंग्राजी रे मार्क अच्छी 50 ताको आमे स्टाटिस्टिक्स कहि परिबा नाही. It has no meaning at all. It is not applicable for our own use. तो गोटे देशर जनसंख्या होची 1 crore. तो से देशर जनसंख्या रो जदि आमे कंपेयर करि परने अन्य देश सहित तेणु करी कौन सी डाटा सिंगल और आइसोलेटेड डाटा is not considered as statistics. The second is it should be numerically expressed. Data should be numerically expressed. बा सांख्यिक तथ्य द्वारा परिप्रकाश हवा आवश्यक. That is it should be in a quantitative form action only. That is weight of 5 students is 65, 58, 60, 62 and 65. So these figures constitutes statistics. Then we can take an average of 5 students, weight of average students. तो 5 जनकर average weight केते अछि आम जानि परिबा. So it will be helpful if agree facts are there. So it must be numerically expressed. So it must be calculative in various statistical methods. The third one is it is affected by multiplicity of causes. परिसंख्यान विभिन्न कारण द्वारा प्रभावित. तो it is affected by various factors which lead to other events. केते गुडे जिनस अछि जहा परिसंख्यान को प्रभावित करे. For example, price of a commodity is affected by income, price of related goods, demand and supply. So कौन सी द्रव्यर जदि दर कमिला ताले तार केते परिमाण बाजार रे बिक्री हला डिमांड आसला. तो गोटे फैक्टर अन्य फैक्टर को दैट कैन अफेक्ट. Similarly, income, suppose income a person increases, से अनुसार तार डिमांड मार्केट रे बढ़ुछ, डिमांड सप्लाई मध्य प्राइस दर अफेक्टेड. तो इट होची the such and such data is affected by several factors. केते गुडे तथ्य यह मध्य गोटे फैक्टर को अफेक्ट करे. So the third one is plural sense. The fourth one is it is should be systematically arranged. Data should be systematically arranged. The numerical data must be collected with a proper manner, otherwise it may lead to misleading conclusions. So data systematically माने scientifically should be set up for proper understanding and easy to understand. So raw data is not systematic. So data should be systematically collected. Suppose for a purpose of enquiry, the enumerator or the investigator collect the information. So the enumerator or investigator should prepare the schedule or questionnaire for the purpose of collection of data. So systematically, failing which it may give faulty result. The inferences, the conclusions may lead to wrong if it is not systematically processed, systematically arranged. Next one is it should be collected for a predetermined purpose, so that the objective of data collection can be better explained according to the need of the investigator. So the investigator should have to decide for which purpose the data is to be collected. So it should be pre-decided which type of data is to be collected. for what purpose अनुसंधानकारी प्रथमे स्थिर करवा दरकार मोर को पर्पज रे को उद्देश्य रे मु तथ्य संग्रह करिवि so first the investigator has to decide what type of data is to be collected for what purpose the fifth one is the investigator will decide what type of data is to be collected that is predetermined before collecting the information the investigator should decide what type of data is to be collected for what purpose. The next one is it is should be capable of being placed in relation to each other. So the data collected should be comparable. संपर्क रहे दरकार. Suppose I will give an example. So the height of a boy cannot be compared with the height of a tree. So homogeneous data is to be collected. So it is should be collected माने which can be comparable and it should be placed in relation to each other. It means data or figures collected should be homogeneous for comparison. Heterogeneous data suppose data are not similar, so it should be it should not be comparable, it should be useless. So data should be manually related and it should be collected for the purpose of comparison of any topic or of any purpose. So characteristics of singular statistics, that is the definition of statistics that we have discussed about plural sense. So what is the meaning of singular sense? According to L. Bowley, statistics may rightly be called as science of average. Science of average. So any theory or any hypothesis is to be testified with the help of averages by different statistical techniques, by different statistical models. So it may be defined as collection, presentation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. So numerical data is to be collected, presented in form of a graph and table, analysis by different statistical techniques and tools, and interpretation, analysis, to what purpose, what findings are to be needed, what findings are concluded for a definite purpose. So in case of singular sense of definition, so one is a data collection, but collection data, so care must be taken for proper collection of data. A lot of care is to be taken. Faulty data leads to incorrect result. So data, when the investigator collects the information, a lot of precautions is to be undertaken for the collection of data. Any faulty data has no meaning at all. It may lead to misleading result or incorrect result. The second step is presentation of data collected are scattered in nature. So the investigator has to organize the data which will be simple and attractive, and it is presented in form of tables, diagrams and graphs. So आम देखुचे गोटे फिगर को आम ताको एक्सप्रेस करछे जति अट्रैक्टिव न होची ताको ग्राफ चार्ट टेबल माध्यम जदि आम ताको शो करिबा तो इट इज मोर आई कैचिंग, सो वन कैन बी इजिली अंडरस्टैंड. बेले बेले आम देखुचे ग्राफ आसुची धर माने सपोज ए टेस्ट मैच रे फर्स्ट ओवर केते स्कोर हला, सेकंड ओवर केते स्कोर हला, आम ग्राफ रे करिबा one can easily understand. So the data should be presented in form of tables, diagrams and graphs. The third one is the analysis of data. So certain techniques, some techniques are used for analysis of data, like percentages, averages, measures of dispersion, correlation, regression, So, these statistical methods help to analyze the data. So, so in singular sense, so data should be simplified and made comparative and classified according to time. So, data should be simplified. So, the questionnaire, that schedule should be simple to the respondent, and the data collected very simple manner and classified according to time and place. So, which type of data is to be collected, the investigators should have to decide. So, after editing the data, it is made for common purpose. After editing, so in case of data, raw data, it is should not be for a common purpose unless it is furnished. So, raw data or private data, that is unfurnished, that is not furnished. So, that is scattered, it should be properly arranged for the purpose of various fields. So, the next one is interpretation of data. Data also need interpretation. When you collect data, it needs interpretation. The high degree of skill and experience requires for drawing logical conclusions. कौन से एक सिद्धांत रे हमको पहुँचवा कहले हमको lot of skill is required, lot of skill, lot of knowledge, scientific knowledge is essential for drawing logical conclusions. This is all about the definition of statistics, singular sense and plural sense. Then you come to nature of statistics. What is the nature? So, it refers to whether statistics is a science or an art. So, Professor Tippett defines statistics is both a science and art. यह होची उभय कला और विज्ञान. So, it studies the data in a systematic manner as a science by various statistical tools and techniques used by the statistician for drawing various scientific conclusions. That is science. Scientific tools, methods, applications is required for drawing various logical conclusions of any aspects. So, statistics also shapes the problem of real life. वास्तव जीवन रे अनेक समस्या मध्य परिसंख्यान समाधान करिथाय. यह होची एक कला, परिसंख्यान होची एक कला. तो statistics is also an art. So, if science is a systematic knowledge, then art is an action. Suppose a person's income decreases, so it will affect the other factors. Similarly, on the contrary, if the person's income increases, it has some positive impact upon the life of a person. The standard of living will increase. So, it also studies the real life of a person. कौन तथ्य नथिले आमे विगत तथ्य नथिले आमे आगामी दिन फ्यूचर प्लान करि परिबा नाही. We have to plan for our future basing upon past data. गोटे पिला कम मार्क रखिछि फर्स्ट टर्मिनल रे जानला जे मोर एतिक रहिला तो सेकंड टर्मिनल केमति अधिक हबो, फाइनल आउट केमति अधिक हबो. So, he will decide, he will plan accordingly how to score high marks in my annual examination. So, unless have some numerical information, so the person will not plan will not get the result. So, it is justified to say that statistics is both science and art. So, it is very logical to say. So, statistics is both science and arts, we can prove it. So, subject matter of statistics. So, you know what is the subject matter of statistics? So, it can be studied in two heads, one is statistical method, another is the applied statistics. So, in a statistical method all laws, bylaws, rules, sub rules and general principles are followed. These include collection, organization, presentation, analysis, interpretation of data relating to inquiry. कथा होची जो मेथड रे आमे डाटा कलेक्शन करछे ताको ऑर्गेनाइज करछे उपस्थापना करछे ताको एनालिसिस करछे विश्लेषण करछे ताको वास्तव क्षेत्र रे प्रयोग करछे तेणु ताको माने जदि आमे सिस्टमैटिकल करबा आमु केतोडे नियम को फॉलो करिया पड़िबो सम रूल्स सम प्रिंसिपल्स आर to be followed for getting better result and logical conclusions. So, first step is to collect the data in a very systematic manner. The second is to organize the data. The unpolished data should be polished in form of tables, graphs, charts and figures. So, presentation, analysis, then the data are to be analyzed to find out certain conclusions. Interpretation means some principles, some statistical tools, some methods are to be used by the statistician for the purpose of reaching certain logical conclusions, certain purpose. So, second one is subject matter is applied statistics. It includes application of statistical techniques to the problem. It can be classified into descriptive and scientific. So, descriptive, what is descriptive? It is used to characterize the features of a production in agricultural sector and also in industrial sector like population growth. So, that is descriptive. So, in the descriptive section we collect the information in various fields, production sector, agriculture, industrial, manufacturing, service sector. So, in this sector the information are to be collected and that is scientific, it is to be used to make forecasts, estimations and judgment. The statistical techniques are used to make forecasts, estimation. So, some variables, dependent variables and independent variables. केते गुडी अछि जो variables अछि आमे ताकू व्यवहार करी आमे फ्यूचर जो डाटा आमे कलेक्ट करि परिबा with the help of regression, with the help of estimation, regress data. So, we will have to predict the future data for the purpose of inquiry. So, it is used to make forecast. Suppose ए वर्ष डाटा हम पाइले population data तो आगे 5 वर्ष रे हमर population केते बढ़िबो. So, we can predict by using exponential method, by using decimal method, by using माने growth rate. So, this is the way in which future data is to be predicted with the help of present data by means of annual growth rate. So, it is more scientific. So, it is used to find out certain estimation for our judgment. So, this is all about the subject matter of statistics. So, there are certain limitations, that are certain factual problems that can arise while collecting the information, while analyzing the data, while presenting the data, and in case of analysis certain precautions are to be undertaken, unless it will give rise to certain misleading result. So, in case of limitation statistics, we have to discuss about the quantitative aspects ignored, like health, riches, intelligence, skill cannot be taken into quantitative data. So, qualitative aspects are not presented in quantitative form. So, it is a limitation. So, like skill, intelligence, then come to riches, health. So, it cannot be quantified. So, it fails to operate. So, the principles of statistics is not to be applicable in case of a qualitative data. So, the number 2 is limitation individual cases. Individual cases means the single data has no use in statistical form. So, कौन से को or isolated data are not needed. So, because it fails to help in comparison. एक गोटी डाटा बा गोटी तथ्य को आम नहीं कि कौन सी कंपेरिजन बा तुलनात्मक विचार करि परिबा नाही, मूल्यहीन आर किछि नाही। गोटे तथ्य जनकर बयस हला 52, तो जनकर वेट हला 65, जनकर मार्क ला 65, तो ये रो सिंगल और आइसोलेटेड डाटा अरे कौन सी आम फाइनल कंक्लूजन पहुँच पारानी। सो in case of individual cases, statistics is not connected with the individual data. So, here it deals with the aggregate of facts. Statistics always need aggregate of facts. केते गुड़िए तथ्य मिसिले आमे कौन सी सिद्धांत रे पहुँचबा। Suppose 10 students mark in English in the class is given, then we can find out the average mark of 10 student in a particular subject. 10 जन पिलांकर मार्क जदि आमे निश्चित ताको एवरेज बाहर करि परिया, जदि गोटे पिलार मार्क जदि आमे माने कहिबा तार किछि मीनिंग नाही, has no relevance, has no use. Practically speaking, so ए गोटे आइसोलेटेड तथ्य को आमे केबे परिसंख्यान और पदवाच्य करि परिबा नाही। The third limitation of statistics is it does not depict entire story of a phenomenon. The social factors like parents, economic condition, education, culture, region, administration by government, etc., cannot be placed in data. So, suppose the entire story cannot be expressed in a statistical information or numerical facts. Suppose economic condition of a country, so it is not to be presented in a numerical data. So, it cannot be expressed. Suppose health condition of a person cannot be expressed in a numerical data. So, it does not clearly show the entire phenomenon. So, it is one of the limitation. The fourth limitation is it is liable to be misused. Data may be misused, careless, dishonest, biased person etc. It cannot give correct information which leads to misleading results. So, when the dishonest person or careless person और biased person जे डाटा रे biased हुए प्रभावित हुए सी जो तथ्य संग्रह करिवो ताहार कोनोसी माने कोनोसी उपयुक्त सिद्धांत रे हम पहुँच परिबा नाही तेणु एतरे मध्य समस्या रही छि एहा मध्य गोटे परिसंख्यान रो गोटे लिमिटेशन व्यतिक्रम कारण जो biased डाटा won't solve the purpose of the investigator. The police decision ପାଇଁ କେବେ ଫଳପ୍ରଦ ନୁହେଁ it will not be fruitful because the data is manipulated, data is biased. So, such type of information is misleading, is not at all trustable. So, it is one of the limitation. So, next fifth limitation is statistical techniques or methods are not adequate to study and it deals with certain problems and aspects. So, whenever the statistical techniques are used, a lot of care is to be, a lot of precaution is to be acquired. Which type of statistical tool is to be used for defining certain problems. So, it has to be noted, very important. So, in order to deal with certain problems and aspects, proper techniques, proper methods of statistics are used to reach certain conclusions. Unless it does not fulfill the purpose of the inquiry for the purpose of the decision. The next one is what is another limitation? Sixth, it results true only on averages. Statistics is true only averages by means of central tendency, dispersion, correlation, etc. etc. So, averages, average mark of a class, average result, average income. So, it means averages. So, statistical results are not always beyond doubt. तो इथे होची परिसंख्यान गोटे हाराहारी उपरे गुरुत्व दी थाए किंतु माने इट इज ऑलवेज इन डाउटफुल statistics is always in doubtful if it is not properly correlated, it is not properly collected, it is not properly analyzed, if proper statistical tools are not used. So, it fails to fulfill the our purpose. Statistics only a means to study an aspect or event or problem, but it never a way to solve them. So, statistics means to give certain problem, it cannot solve the problem. So, problem solving decision is to be undertaken by a proper administrator, planner. So, it gives the problem, how problem will be sorted out by taking certain policy decisions. So, problem that arises out of statistical information and the policy decisions are to be undertaken by the appropriate authority of a particular agency or particular department. So, it is one of the limitation. So, next we have to switch up to another thing is relation of statistics with the other social sciences. It has vast field. अर्थशास्त्र हो किंबा वाणिज्य हो किंबा सामाजिक विज्ञान हो किंबा विज्ञान हो प्रत्येक क्षेत्र में परिसंख्यान आवश्यकता रही। परिसंख्यान बिना आम कौन सिद्धांत पहुँची पार ना। जदि आम गत वर्ष देखा रोड एक्सीडेंट केते हैला तापर वर्ष केते हैतिला ताले आम कौन आम ट्रैफिक बा हमर जो ता कौन बेटर अच्छी कि नहीं आम जानी परिबा। सो वी मेक ए श्योर दैट आवर accident road accidents are decreasing or not. So there are several branches, so we can study the problem, but it cannot fulfill the purpose. It gives a problem and to solve it by different agency and by different departments. So relation of statistics with other social sciences. So any part of economics cannot proceed without statistics. Economic theory is tested by means of statistics. Any theory is to be tested by means of statistics. Demand and supply, profit, saving, investment, unemployment. So these factors that we can study with the help of statistics. Planning is mainly a part of economics. देशर जो योजना होउछि तथ्य नथिले आमे कौन से योजना फलप्रद करि परिबा नाही। गवर्नमेंट प्लान्स टू इराडिकेट unemployment, poverty, reduce the birth rate, death rate. So unless having certain numerical information, the government fails to do it. सरकार कौन से सिद्धांत रे पहुँच पारिबे नाही। कौन सिद्धांत रे पहुँचबा कहले तांको इनफॉरमेशन दरकार, तांको तथ्य दरकार। बिना तथ्य रे कौन सी पर्पस फुलफिल हो पारिबो नाही। So the importance of statistics, the relevance of statistics is very very important in every branches of science, in every field. So planning is mainly a part of economics. So we have to make direct planning for different components for different periods. विभिन्न समय रे प्लानिंग हेछि, विभिन्न विषय रे मध्य प्लानिंग करा होछि। बिना तथ्य रे कौन सी प्लानिंग हो पारिबो नाही। कौन सी बजेट होछि तथ्य दरकार, को हेड रे केते खर्च होछि, गत वर्ष केते खर्च होइतिला, ए वर्ष केते खर्च होबो, एजुकेशन रे केते खर्च होइतिला, ए वर्ष केते खर्च होबो। So a brief picture that comes from the statistical information. The statistical information is very very important in every branch of social sciences. The major components of a population, consumption, prices, investment, then come to saving, income and expenditure are analyzed for demand forecasting using various statistical methods. तो जनसंख्या जदि बढ़ुची आगामी 10 वर्ष रे केते जनसंख्या बढ़िबो आमे कैलकुलेशन कर दे परिबा स्टैटिस्टिकल टूल रो। मेथड अछि स्टैटिस्टिकल मेथड, स्टैटिस्टिकल टेक्निक्स अछि। हमर 10 वर्ष रे केते बढ़िबो फ्यूचर प्रेडिक्शन करि परिबा। कंजम्पशन प्राइस लेवल बढ़िला कि कमिला, rising trend of the price level or decreasing level of price trend, that can be estimated with the help of the statistical tool. Investment, saving investment, income and expenditure, so that can be analyzed for demand forecasting with the help of statistical techniques. So statistics रो माने गुरुत्व बहुत अधिक, कारण आमे कौन सी स्टेप आगु जाई परिबा नहीं unless we collect the information. So the major components of population, consumption, prices, investment, income and expenditure, etc. are analyzed for demand forecasting using various techniques of statistics. So it is also helpful in business and commerce. So various economic activities like trading, manufacturing, transportation, mining, insurance, etc. are undertaken for making profits. So, the statistical tools make the businessman how to earn higher profit by using statistical method. So, which type of technique, which type of method is to be adopted for making huge profit. So, commerce, trade and commerce is very important. So, statistics plays a dominant role in the various field of social sciences. Statistics has a great relevance in various fields. So, it has to perform various functions. So, statistics perform multiple functions in modern times. आज आधुनिक जुगरे परिसंख्यान कार्य व्यापक अटे. For simplification, it expresses huge collection of numerical data in simple form which can be easily understood. Data are simplified through statistical methods which become easy to understand. So, the statistical method make the information easy to understand and simple to follow. So, numerical data collected are to be simplified by using different statistical techniques to make the people better understand. यह केमिति लोक बुझी पारिबे जो तथ्य संग्रह होइछि ताकू जदि आमे सिंप्लिफाई करिबा सरलीकरण करिबा ताहले यार गुरुत्व अधिक अछि आमे सेतुर मध्य किछि उपकार पाई परिबा. एहाकू वास्तव जीवन रे मध्य आमे व्यवहार करी कोनसे एक निर्दिष्ट सिद्धांत रे पहुंच परिबा. द सेकंड वन इज कंपैरिजन. स्टैटिस्टिकल डाटा कलेक्टेड मस्ट बी कंपेरेबल. एहाकू आमे तुलना करिबा. Unless they are compared, data has no meaning. आर कौन से अर्थ नहीं. Statistical methods like averages, percentages, correlation, regression, dispersion. So, these are the various techniques. So, these techniques are used to make the data comparable for drawing various inferences. So, different techniques are to be adopted according to the need of the inquiry. को उद्देश्य आम तथ्य संग्रह करुचे से तथ्य कौन सी तथ्य जिते संग्रह होची ताकू पॉलिश करा होची ताकू प्रेजेंट करा होची ताकू एनालिसिस करा होची एवं को टेक्निक यूज कले आमे बेटर रिजल्ट पाई परिबा एवं आमर लक्ष्य आमर पर्पस फुलफिल करि परिबो. सो डाटा should be comparable and the homogeneous data are comparable. गोटे प्रकार डाटा कंपेरेबल हो पारिबो अलगा डाटा कंपेयर हो पारिबो नाही. सपोज weight of a person cannot be comparable with the height of a person. So, weight height there are two different factor. So, the data should be homogeneous, it should not be heterogeneous. जदि तथ्य समानता रहे ताहले से तथ्य को आमे तुलनात्मक करि परिबा एवं एक निर्दिष्ट लक्ष्य रे आमे पहुंच परिबा. The third function is relation between facts. It is extremely helpful in establishing the relationship between two or more set of facts. It investigates and analyzes the relationship among the data demand supply price level. तो रिलेशन क्या सहित अच्छी डिमांड सप्लाई सहित रिलेशन अच्छी प्राइस सहित भी रिलेशन अच्छी जदि प्राइस टा बढ़िला व्हेन प्राइस राइजेस व्हाट इम्पैक्ट will create upon demand. When price rises, what will effect on supply? So, demand and supply are affected by the price level. So, it makes a relationship with two or more factors. Suppose production कमिगला, so what are the factors that reduce production? So, rainfall, natural calamities, another is other related factors. Statistical tools helps to make relationship between facts. So, next one is prediction forecasting. Prediction and forecasting, statistics helps to predict the future data with the help of present data. वर्तमान तथ्य को नहीं आमे भविष्यत तथ्य संग्रह करि परिबा. Statistical methods predict future trend of data on the basis of time series analysis. So, time series analysis, components of time series, least square method is adopted for making trend value making trend values. Trend बढ़ुची ना कमुची कौन सी तथ्य रो ट्रेंड बढ़िला कि कमिला that we can analyze by using the statistical technique, that is time series analysis. So, these statistical methods are helpful for finding out various logical conclusions. कौन से एक निर्दिष्ट सिद्धांत रे पहुँचवा को हेले आमको प्रेडिक्शन करिया पड़िबो. Unless we predict future data, we cannot find out better result. So, the planners, the policy makers, then producers, consumers, all they need the statistical techniques for maximizing welfare of the people. The policy makers, the planners make future plans by analyzing the past data. तो अतीत रे आमर जातीय आय केते थिला एबे केते बढ़िछि, जीडीपी केते थिला जीडीपी केते बढ़िछि, लोकंकर पर हेड इनकम केते थिला केते बढ़िछि. तो माने हाउ टू increase the living standard of the people or income level of the people by estimating the data. So, statistics has definitely great relevance in day to day life of the people. तो देशर विकास क्षेत्र रे परिसंख्यान रो आवश्यकता रही. परिसंख्यान रो व्यापकता थिबारु आज देश प्रगति पछरे गति करुछि. So, it is essential to collect the right information, genuine data. So, the right person will give the correct information, and that right correct information will be beneficial for development of a nation. So, the policy makers and planners and producers decide the future course of action by taking statistical information. The next one is formulation and testing hypothesis. Various techniques, hypothesis, it helps to probable statements by means of testing hypothesis. We expect what decision is to be undertaken by analyzing the numerical information and discover new theory. Suppose this theory is not is false. So, if data is incorrect, आम डाटा कलेक्ट कले जदि सेटा आम थ्योरी अनुसार जदि ठीक नहला दैट इज हाइपोथेसिस रंग. तेणु ये हूँ स्टैटिस्टिकल माने स्टैटिस्टिक्स फंक्शन. सो स्टैटिस्टिक्स प्ले ए वेरी इंपोर्टेंट रोल इन डे टू डे लाइफ ऑफ द पीपल. बिना परिसंख्यान रे कौन सी देशर प्रगति हवा असंभव. तेणु आमर विभिन्न जो परिसंख्यान रही पद्धति ताकू आमे व्यवहार कले आमर निश्चिंत भाव में कौन से एक माने उचित सिद्धांत रे आमे पहुँच पारिबा. तेणु फॉर्मुलेशन ऑफ टेस्टिंग हाइपोथेसिस आमर जो रहिला विभिन्न प्रकार दिग बा परिसंख्यान विभिन्न पद्धति माध्यम रे आमे निश्चिंत भाव में कौन सी सिद्धांत पहुँच पारिबा. तेणु परिसंख्यान व्यापकता अधिक. तेणु आउ मध्य किछि अछि परिसंख्यान कार्य आमे नेक्स्ट सेशन रे विल हैव टू डिस्कस इन डिटेल. सो माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, आज जो परिसंख्यान परिसर हो किंबा आमर तार मीनिंग डेफिनेशन तार जो प्रकार व्यापकता कहली तार अदर सोशल साइंसेस यह निश्चिंत तमे बुझीपार्थि बोली मोर आशा. समस्त को मोर धन्यवाद.